we're always looking at bonding for the solar project that's come up before. So that's outside of the budgetary process. Well, actually, no, it isn't, because when we set up the bonds, that's a debt service, and so we did pass the debt service as part of our general fund, our Monroe County budget. So that what that has included in the past was money for that solar project we've talked about in this group before, and the consultants to do an assessment. And that now the assessment has been done. That information is in Dropbox for the different county buildings. And now I think the actual purchase of the panels is now on a list to be funded by American Recovery Plan. So as soon as, I think we've got a meeting on Monday, I think, to talk about ARPA right after the workshop.
I think it's next Friday. But yeah, we put out RFPs. I haven't heard of the responses from.
We have something called ARPA Conversation Part Due on Monday, the 23rd, starting at 4. So back to back with the workshop. I'm busy. But anyway, so it sounds like bids have gone out to companies to install the solar panels on the buildings that the consultant identified as the best place. So there's so much climate that's built into everything that we do, particularly like stormwater, emergency management in terms of, that sort of thing. So, but no particular item that I think was like, wow, like solar panels or like EV charging stations or anything like that. I think, we've talked about greening the sheriff's fleet before, and I think that didn't make it into the sheriff's budget. We had talked with our fleet manager during their presentation that they are constantly looking for electric vehicles to replace county vehicles. So particularly like our probation officers have sedans and they drive a lot. But the problem is that the car market hasn't really recovered from the pandemic yet, and it's really hard to find used vehicles. It's really hard to find electric vehicles, and the price of everything is just skyrocketed. So,
does the county normally or would they purchase used potentially over new vehicles? Or
I don't know what.
Okay.
Yeah. Highway does.
Highway.
At times, not. There are times where that's the best way to go. Not very long.
And with the sheriff department, I know we talked about Drag Queen Indiana, presented to them, and they haven't looked in the bar for testing out.
They have presented to the sheriff's department, and I think that they were pretty impressed by it, and they have yet to present to the commissioners. So I think because we're in charge of fleet until that happens, probably things won't really progress forward. I've asked them to give us a presentation, but
okay, so it's kind of them that hasn't been able to.
well, I know they wanted to meet with the sheriff's office first, but that was a few months ago. I think they could get to us.
Right.
The owl's not picking up your voice.
Sure. Just fine with me.
Okay.
I don't think there's anyone there to catch it anyhow.
Did Todd need a link to the
Go to the participants. I just told him to go to the website. Look, go to attendees. Who's that attendee? That's Cats.
Okay.
Yeah, he's trying to log in.
Okay. All right. Anything else from council?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
All right. Next I carried over some of these items from last month since we weren't able to have a quorum, but hopefully there's been some Blue Ribbon Climate Resilience Commission work to get an update on what's been going on there.
Well, we had one meeting
Okay,
and kind of introduced ourselves and got to know each other a little, and then we went over the primer. The environmental primer in quite a bit of detail. There was quite a bit of discussion. People were very interested. It's unclear to me how much they have to do with that coming Monday's meeting. Blue Ribbon Commission, I mean,
So you guys discussed the climate trends, was that the climate trends primary document, was that the one?
yeah,
I found that to be very harrowing,
it,
right?
very
Oh my goodness.
detailed, very
It's,
detailed.
I mean, spells a quite an interesting future for.
So all
people looking into
4 of
20.
us will be at Monday's meeting. And part of that is we're gonna go back through like a little portion of it, the condensed portion of it. But I've asked Haider Atik to come and present on some of the areas of more technical aspects that I'm just not familiar
What's
with.
the Monday meeting?
It's the vulnerability workshop.
Okay, that's the workshop. Yeah, it's the one that.
So we set a date for the workshop. and
okay.
That's about where we're at now.
So yeah, we'll transition in because I did add the workshop as a separate agenda item after that. So that commission isn't facilitating discussions at the workshop, or do we have facilitators in line for that?
Peter's going to be the facilitator.
Okay,
And I'll
so
do
just like one-
introductions and all.
okay. So each working group doesn't have its own facilitator? No, we only have like 2 or 3 people in each group. but-
Yeah, they will have, once we break into small groups, you'll kind of direct, like elect your own kind of like a leader, someone's gonna be the presenter and someone who's gonna be the note taker.
Mhm.
And then I think, I'll be walking around and so will Todd. I think you've been to one of these before.
I didn't go to
You haven't-
cities.
You haven't been to any? Okay.
Yeah.
So Todd and I will walk around, just kind of make sure everyone's on track. This is, I'm really impressed by who's coming. There's some really amazing people coming, like kind of the leaders, the stakeholders of our community are coming.
Mhm.
I don't think people aren't gonna need a lot of hand holding. I don't think we need a facilitator per working group. Folks start getting rowdy, maybe. I-
Too ramped up.
I think the assignment will be really clear. I think we're gonna get a lot of great content from this, so.
How are you planning to determine the makeup of the small groups?
Let me. I'm not on Zoom. Let me,
So document Dropbox I can pull up.
yeah, if you go to Dropbox. Sorry, I'm trying to also get Todd on.
So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Peter, the ERI and GEOS group kind of had a set list of categories for the small groups. So it's like built environment, natural environment, like
Yeah.
economic.
And that's gonna be in this document. If you, go back up to vulnerability workshop. And Monroe County invitees. And scroll all the way to the right, before you share. Where are you sharing right now?
No.
Scroll all the way to the right. There we go. This is what we want to see. Because otherwise we'd see like, who we invited and
If they're vegetarian or
that's right, yeah, we're not, yeah, that public engagement.
not. There's great. So yeah, these are the 4, 5. Do we end up having 5 or we? So we have 5 community systems, so we call it built environment, economic, natural environment, social and cultural. And so, yeah, some of them, this is, I guess, an updated,
Those individuals or groups?
Those are
these are
individuals.
individuals in each group, so each group is, I think 5 is sort of what we're shooting for anyways, so we're not too far off, some of them are smaller. And then, yeah, the agenda was sent out as well for the day. So it's from 9 to 12 p.m. on Monday.
Yeah, so we've invited 34 people. 2 have declined. But both people that declined said they wanted to come for the solutions workshop, which we think is gonna be in December. Oh, okay, Todd is in. Can we promote Todd in the Zoom? There he is. Mr. Todd Miller, you made it.
Oh.
So
yeah, was there anything else about the workshop that specifically we wanted to discuss besides, general outline? Again, it's like a vulnerability focused workshop, so we're identifying vulnerabilities in each of these areas for Monroe County.
if you go to the Monroe County calendar, we can review the agenda if you'd like. So go to the Monroe County.
Same one as in Dropbox.
It's the same one in Dropbox. Yeah.
Okay, let's go back to. Oh.
Anyway, while Nolan's looking for the folder, Todd Miller's joined us. He is the Monroe County McKinney Climate Fellow. Todd, welcome to the Environmental Commission.
Welcome, Todd.
We muted,
Yeah, we couldn't hear you.
he's muted.
Maybe he's muted on our end. The line, or. Oh.
Right.
That's not the agenda, is it?
No.
Agenda? This agenda. Okay. All right, we'll get back to you shortly, Todd, after I stop sharing my screen.
So this is the public agenda. You can find this on the Monroe County homepage. We're going to start with Lee giving us a welcome. We're going to talk about some of our community values, do introductions and things like that. Then Todd has developed a PowerPoint where it's going to be an introduction to climate change. That's okay. And there's going to be a Q&A. That's going to be a time where we can share some data from the climate trends primer, as well as the community primer, and have people ask questions. It's kind of I think for a lot of folks, they haven't read that primer yet. So this is going to be a PowerPoint that's like a brief introduction to that, to kind of bring people up to speed about what the McKinney Climate Fellows have been doing. Todd, does that sound about right to you? I still can't hear you. It says you're unmuted, but for whatever reason, we can't. That's okay. Anyway, so then after we do that, we'll take a short little break. Then we'll introduce the breakout activities. We'll talk about it. Then until lunch, we'll actually be doing listing out vulnerabilities and then prioritizing them. We'll continue to do that after lunch. We'll have lunch together in the Nat New Hill room where people can go for a walk or whatever they want to do. And then can you scroll down? We'll take an afternoon break, get some calories in us so we don't fall asleep. And then what we'll do is we'll make sure that the vulnerabilities are all set. And then we will share our results. And then everyone will have a chance to do cross-sector prioritization, which is really going to be really helpful for Todd and me, because that cross-sector prioritization will be put into a vulnerabilities report that then Todd or I can share with this group at our next meeting. So we take a full day's worth of data, condense it down into a report that you all can look at. We can discuss it, and then from that, we will then have a solutions workshop in December. We'll do the same type of process here, and it will end up with a solutions report So then we'll have a vulnerability report and a solutions report. Both aspects will end up in our resilience plan for the county. So, and that's what Todd's here for. So he's gonna do all that work. You all see it, we'll share it with you.
Great. All right, next agenda item, discuss, let me stop sharing everything. Discuss possible county participation in Project 46. If you're not familiar, Project 46 was developed. I think they kind of started last October, getting this together, and they announced it this spring. Columbus, Indiana, Nashville, and Bloomington are currently part of it. As well as representatives from Cummins, IU Health, TASIS, Heritage Fund, a nonprofit, and a youth representative. But Monroe County is not currently part of it, and the city's Assistant Director of Sustainability has reached out, asking if the county commissioners would consider joining the group.
What are Bartholomew counties and Brown counties?
They haven't joined.
Yeah, they haven't joined yet. And actually, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen again, just to show. There's sort of 4 bullet points that they've identified as priorities for the group.
Boy, Microsoft really wants
respect-
that. Really wants.
Respect and privacy.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
All right. So this is just from Columbus's website, but these 4 bullet points are sort of what their initial goals are. So track and report greenhouse gas emissions for each community and as a region as a whole, coordinate local investments and leverage available state and federal funding opportunities, including funding for infrastructure and Inflation Reduction Act.
Just real quick, your screen sharing is paused and we're seeing a portion of a page. That worked.
All right, sorry about that. So this is what we're looking at. Third bullet point, set advance initiatives, highlight successes and challenges, and promote best practices by engaging government, nonprofit, and private sector. And then produce an annual community report to demonstrate the activities impact of these efforts and progress toward shared goals. So in addition to this, doing this, what these 3 communities so far have done is they've each passed resolutions, which includes allocating 50 cents per capita of their community. So for Monroe County, that would essentially be a $30,000 contribution. So I don't know, we can obviously advise the commissioners of this commission. I don't know if there's thoughts in terms of what if anybody has initial thoughts and then thoughts going forward. The next steering committee meeting for Project 46 is on December 4th. And the city did share a draft agenda for that we can share with the commissioners as well. So that's the basic. I don't have the commissioners, I guess, given this any thought already.
We've discussed it several times, and basically, we don't usually do things like this without very clear deliverables. And we don't really feel that that's been made clear at this point. And we think that it might be better for the county to kind of participate in the second bullet point there. As items come up. Rather than just giving out the flat 30,000. You know, so we would know exactly what we are funding.
From a council perspective, I also have some questions, like, number one, I think it'd be fantastic to do a greenhouse gas inventory alongside other partners. Monroe County has never done a greenhouse gas inventory. The city of Bloomington has, but Monroe County hasn't. That would be really interesting to see. But my question is like, are we all going to be contracting with the same entities? Like, are we going to be having someone, like, I just don't, I want more details about like how long would this take? Like, what would we need resources from the county otherwise? So I love the idea of a greenhouse gas inventory. I love the idea of coordinating on state, federal grants. But like, my big question always in the county is who's gonna do this?
And that's, I mean, who, how, what,
When, where,
maybe not where, but when, maybe we know why. But
Yeah.
it's, that we simply, it's not, well enough defined yet.
Right.
For us to really be willing to commit ourselves to.
And yeah, I was looking at, I apologize since I was late and realized we were meeting today. The city did send some additional information, but I'm just scanning through it. It doesn't really seem to, it still seems unclear where that money would go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can share with you the agenda they have for next month or for December as well.
The other counties are probably feeling much the same. I think counties in general appear to be more hands-on with money and want to have a good understanding of what money means.
And I think if Monroe County joins, would that decrease the exposure that other counties would have? So would it sweeten the deal for, these other counties, or is there a flat rate that they're thinking? There's a lot of questions that I have. And I was wondering, would it be appropriate for the president of this body to pose our questions to Sean Mia or someone in the city? And then maybe report back the answers to those questions?
Yeah, could you also ask about conservation and just how the project 6 relates to conservation?
Yeah, if you all wanted to send questions to me,
Okay.
I'll compile them and then I can send them to Sean. And yeah.
I mean, that corridor has a whole lot of flooding going on. And I mean, it would just be nice to be able to get our arms around just what we're talking about here.
It does look like one of their action items is to actually hire a regional climate consultant. And some of the deliverables are identified priorities, which is obviously not defined yet. Interim and long-term governance document, funding tracker, project administration, and team coordination. So sounds like they're hiring this to answer a lot of the questions that it sounds like they don't have yet either. So
Right. I mean, it sounds like it's just not concrete enough yet. That a lot more work needs to be put into it to make it really clear just what.
But yeah, I really like the idea of collaborating with regional communities. That would make it,
It would
a lot
be,
better to people working.
The bipartisanship, right?
absolutely, I mean, yeah, that it would be a wonderful thing, but it could really blow up on us if it didn't.
Need some more meat to the.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you all, I'll send out a reminder email to the whole group. and we give you all a date, probably a week or two in the future, and get back to me by then, and then I'll send them to Sean.
Okay.
We'll get back to you all next month. All right, next agenda item. So speaking of Sean Mia, Assistant Director of Sustainability for the city, as well as Matt Flaherty, who's on city council and also works for a nonprofit, working on climate issues, and myself. We had published an op-ed in the Herald Times that went out about 10 days ago, I think. And that was reviewing tax rebates and incentives that are specifically available to residential households on various electrification. And it was also in partnership with Rewiring America. So that we're focusing on electrification opportunities and tax rebate information that was available. And I guess part of the thought in bringing this up in this meeting was to, how to get that information out further to the county, to residents of the county. I know it seems like over the past few years, we've talked occasionally, it's come up, and how do we get messages out to the county, and how do we communicate with them the best? So I think that is in line with that thought process. Several people approached me and said they saw it in the HT, so I guess that was the good first step.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, I guess it's sort of an open-ended question.
Yeah, I mean, that is
So how to, we talked about setting up social media presence, we talked about.
We do have, I mean, we have a website, we have a Facebook account and all of that. and
Commissioners do, or the county does?
The county does.
Okay.
And, certainly, if you want to make things known through those mediums, Dina would be the person to talk to, she and Angie.
Okay.
We have, Andrew Lambert is our kind of media consultant.
Okay.
And then Susan Brackney is kind of taking care of press for us and can do that.
So are those people in a position to approve messages that go out on those platforms?
Those get approved in the commissioner's office.
Okay.
It first goes through the commissioner's office, then goes out to them to do their magic with.
So if we, as a commission, wanted something to be publicized, would we need to first, as a commission, vote on it? Or is that?
I don't
Not
know that
necessary.
there's a requirement to vote on it. I think if we did vote on it, it would.
I just wouldn't want to say, this is what, I'm not fishing for coming from me.
Yeah, no, it,
But I mean, if we talk about it, we're obviously.
yeah, I think, and then, of course, there's also at the end of every meeting, of all of our meetings, and used to be with council meetings, I don't know if they still do, there's an announcement
We still do that.
period, and, I'm not convinced that there's a huge audience for any of those meetings.
Well, and that begs the question, like, I know a lot of, little, county, city council candidates and other fucking city council have talked about, how do we bring the table, like 2 people, right? How do we expand the table? And, the question of, I mean, would it be possible if we held workshops like sometime in like, I don't know, in a park somewhere? Would it be possible to, go somewhere and, how do we do that effectively and better? Because, we know that a lot of people who, would want information about this maybe just doesn't really follow or have, they don't, there's a lot of just stuff that they don't take by chance, in order to get in contact with this information. So the question of how to bring that information to them more effectively. And
Getting information out has to be one of the biggest problems we deal with. Without a decent newspaper, we're pushing people to find out about the B square beacon, but lots of people aren't really that, they don't really want to follow politics
Right.
that closely. And there just isn't any single good medium anymore.
Canvassing.
That
No.
might be one of the best, but even there, you know, you knock on people's doors,
Correct,
no one's
yeah.
at home.
Yeah.
It's just not, everyone is so involved in their own lives and
Yes.
seem to be finding their own lives so demanding and all that while they may care about these things, they aren't actively seeking anything out. Not that many people seem to feel that they need to actively participate.
Right, and that's creates a lot of messes over it.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
And to your point, you know, it's not just getting messages out, but getting a group to give us feedback. We talked about that too, is like,
Yeah.
where do we need to focus our efforts? And what do people want us to do in this commission?
And while I think climate resilience is a really good thing to be focusing on, I think there's a whole lot of other topics that it would be a very good idea to encompass.
I really liked your letter. I think it was really well written, and I'm glad there's a collaboration. The letter references the Bloomington Green Home Improvement Program, and that's only for Bloomington residents. That's my understanding, at least.
Right.
So I think we need to do some more digging to see what exactly is available through the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, for Monroe County residents. So
I went to Green Drinks where,
Bill Brown.
yeah, Bill, you know, talked, and he said that the best thing to do is honestly just to fill out something if you ERA, you know, the portal online, and to just get requested and to get, you know, just to get help from them directly. So I don't know if that's something that we want to look into, but
Yeah, definitely.
because I've been looking into IRA for, as always, as Neil always does, you know, conservation purposes. It was pretty unclear, like it didn't seem like it was even, so, but.
Rewiring America has a fact sheet as well that we could put out about, you know, point of sale rebates or discounts that are available. Yeah, but I just wanted to be like, Monroe County residents have unique demands placed on them. And so that's going to be something of a difference than being in the city.
Yeah, in the city, utilities has done really a pretty nice job of dealing with flooding. In the county, we're getting all of that city water, and it's causing major problems.
Going back to posting things, so if we did want to, like I said, on the website or on Facebook, was there one of those people you mentioned that I would reach out to first?
You would reach out to Dina or Angie.
Okay.
Probably in the end, it'll be Angie who looks at it,
Yeah.
and if she's not completely comfortable, then she'll bring it to the commissioners.
Okay.
And we'll give her the go ahead, and then you just decide. Well, mostly things go both on social media and it's press release.
Okay.
And so the same information can go to both parties, I believe, and they'll work with it in their way.
Cause yeah, I could have done something along those lines. The city did, I think, put out a press release from that. Or maybe it was just like initially email, but I saw that they sent out a release that that article was published in the Herald Times. So I was like, well, I probably should have been more proactive with the county side to get that done. Go ahead, Peter.
Todd, and do you have any thoughts on this?
Can you sign later?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh,
Your
good.
thoughts?
Oh, good. Well, that's a hear pod say today. Yeah, no, I've just been hearing bits and pieces. A little bit choppy on my end, but I'm getting little bits of it. But No, as far as like, it sounds like the main theme is just making sure like all the information is like going to like the right key people on that and how that gets disseminated to like implement those.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
Neil, can you say something?
Luke?
The owl is only pointed at one person.
Because the owl was pointing to the screen to catch Todd's face on the screen earlier.
Oh, there we go. Lee, can you say something?
sure, something.
Oh, okay.
The owl does not like you.
That's just fine with me. Don't mind one little bit. Oh, there
Oh,
we go.
shoot, there we go. Todd, can you hear Lee better now? Can you hear us better now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. Ellie's good. Yeah, let's, I can help with that.
Right, anything else that agenda item, we'll move on. I carried over from last month again, we had reviewing the resilience cohort community primer. I don't know if that's still relevant at this point. Peter, Todd, you might have thoughts, we could want to pull it up, or it's pretty much fleshed out at this point.
It's worth taking a gander through it. I don't know, I haven't looked at it in probably a week. Community primer.
Oh, and so is this the same as the trends primer that Geos, did you see their comments? Okay.
The climate trends primer is the science behind
Climate change.
climate change. So what's happening with climate change in our community? The community primer is all about our community values. What makes Monroe County different than Brown County? Or different than Orange County or Green County or whatever, right?
Climate change farmer is like, oh, things are gonna be terrible in 2080.
Right.
Yeah, this is more like, we have the Wonder Lab and.
This is,
Yeah.
what makes us special and unique. So what assets can we, if you go into the Dropbox. Right. The Dropbox.
It'd be interesting sometime to, because, you know, that book I've been reading.
The deliverables. And then scroll down to the community. Let's try that one, yeah.
But, the way that migration relates to resiliency is something worth considering too, at least with respect to the to the far future, you know.
It's annoying that it's
Something that is on the horizon.
on the right-hand side, there's a box right. It's not your fault. Todd, I'm gonna kind of walk us through this. If you have additional comments or questions, feel free to chime in, okay? All right, so again, this community trends is all about our values, who we are as a community, what makes us special and unique. So the introduction has a little bit about our size, our history, our geography. So let's go down to demographics. So here we see a population. And I don't know, we need to work on this a little bit. There's no citations here. That population's debated. So I think I'll make a mental note to myself to add citations here. There's information about, then the second paragraph is about how Indiana University is really important. The third paragraph is all about Ellettsville. We talk about how diverse we are in the next paragraph. I mean, you all can read, so I'm not going to read this, out loud. You can see this is much more narrative than the climate trends primer. Climate trends primer had graphs and charts and scientific data. This is going to be a little bit more, that, so. You
What's
can,
the purpose of the community primer? Are we trying to educate the community with it, or are we just?
so, it's twofold. First of all, it is meant to identify assets. So as we're thinking about resiliency, what do we want to make sure that we can put into play to ensure that we're gonna be resilient, whether it's a high heat event, or it's a flooding event or something else, right? The second thing is it helps us identify populations that might be more vulnerable to these items or these issues. So the chart that's on the screen right now shows that while we are a pretty homogeneous society racially, there is diversity here, and we need to be cognizant of the fact that, you know, that we do have racial, linguistic, and other areas of diversity. So there's some citations, that's good. One of the things that we know too is that this is a nice place to retire. So we do have an aging population, or folks who are older than 65. So if you scroll down, you see that chart. So you see the outsized population of the young college student age. You can also see that our makeup in terms of a household, in terms of a household size. So 2 adults with children, 2 adults without children, single or living alone. We see that this is something else that it'd be interesting to contrast this chart, this education chart, with the state education. Our education rates for bachelor's or higher is really high when compared to the state. So that's another aspect of our community, is that we can send out climate change primer data that's pretty scientifically dense into our community, and be reasonably assured that people can parse out what it's saying, right? Because we are such a high education or community. Here, then you scroll down, we're talking about our economic trends. So the median household income is $53,000. The poverty rate in 2021 and the youth poverty rate, 21.1% and 14.4% respectively. Again, this document is more of a snapshot than it is looking at trends over time. Right? It's simply meant to say, you know, this is the populations that we're dealing with. You can see, according to the U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis, this is where folks are generally employed. And then here we get into some of our natural systems in the physical environment. Scroll back up just a little bit. The last paragraph that starts with however does start to kind of identify some of the hazards that we have. Air quality score is pretty low, and water quality are issues reported here.
That air quality and water quality sounds to me like it's might be a little city centric.
Yeah, and I think the way that this is written is that we're including Indiana University data in this, and we're including City of Bloomington data in this too. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The city does have a lot of control over water quality. Yeah.
Well, and air quality.
Yeah. All right, so here you can see there's a lot of amenities here. So we want to be protecting those. You know, we don't want all these to be flooded out or, you know, to be damaged. Here we have the different structures, energy and communication sectors. Here we have some data from Find Energy with some of our CO2 counts. Again, we don't have a greenhouse gas inventory. that would be awesome to have right here. We could probably plop in the Bloomington greenhouse gas inventory that they conducted 2018, I think.
They've updated it since then and last year too.
I have,
Yeah.
great. And that's something we might want to plop into this document. Competitive energy rates, and then you can see here that we've cited the Bloomington climate plan at the very bottom. Here are the different watersheds. And then, of course, we have quite a bit of roads, a lot of culverts. You know, we're pretty road heavy here. So there's lots of roads. We do have a pretty robust trail system, thanks to the commissioners. That's there, and then information here about buses and other forms of transportation.
Which is something the county is working on right now.
That's right. That's right. Here we have kind of quality of life, our healthiest community rankings, commuting information, waste management. And by the way, the comments HA3, that's Hedera T. Here we have a little paragraph on housing. Some information about how robust our social services are. And this is where kind of that social network is going to be really important in terms of resiliency. We have a lot of social services that can come into play. The United Way here is really strong. There's a lot of great social services here that can help out. And here we see community culture. Hader asked about tribal government. There's no tribal governments here, but we do have a great First Nations Center at Indiana University, and First Nations students come from all over the world, really, to study Indiana University every single year. So that's a great resource. And here's our rich culture. We do really have a great rich culture. There's lots of festivals here. There's lots of great restaurants. There's lots of we're very religiously tolerant here. So there's all sorts of great things that we should celebrate here.
The arts.
The arts, yeah. There's Wonder Lab. So the sciences. Here's some more quality of life things about health. So when you're thinking about who's going to be at risk, this is going to be important information, right? How many people do we have who have cognitive difficulties in the community? How many people do we know that have ambulatory difficulties in the event of a flooding event? What's our plan for these unique populations and their unique needs in the event of a high heat event? If there's no electricity, what are we going to do? And so this gets to what the climate trends primer could not get to is this is, you know, we should be preserving our culture, but we should also be looking out for our residents. Food access. There was just recently an article in the Bloomingtonian about how up on the Pigeon Hill, there was the gas station just closed, and they called it a new food desert. So there are areas of our community that need to access transportation to get to food much heavier than others. So and then here's a little bit of community history. Obviously, the Monroe County History Center could, you know, there's books written on Monroe County. So this is just a little snippet of history.
Right.
And there's references. Do you have anything to add at this point?
Yeah, no, when we have the vulnerability workshop, it's a great opportunity for like the stakeholders that represent these different communities to voice their concerns, identify the vulnerabilities. As far as like they'll have a better idea on that to prioritize what should be addressed first.
Great, well, thank you all for your work on that. That's very comprehensive.
Is there anything missing, or is there any? Is there anything that we can add to that? I mean, it's already at 13 pages and I'm hesitant to make it 27, but like. I mean, there's nothing really in there about, is there anything in there about agriculture or agricultural heritage?
No,
There was nothing in there about the fairgrounds.
What schools?
There, yeah,
I also think the community's interactions or involvement with the environment.
say more about that.
This community is by and large pretty environmentally aware and fairly active.
Like green drinks.
Green drinks.
And a whole lot of things.
Yeah,
And-
Friends of Lake Monroe and.
And, it's just an active part of the community.
That's, yeah. Make myself a little nubby.
And you talk about trails, but like international forest and
Yeah.
some of the bigger ones.
Todd, can you take some of these notes down, actually?
It's-
Yeah, I mean, mentioning the national, the Dean Wilderness right
Yeah.
at our doorstep. I mean, the Dean is a big part of
Yeah,
who we are and what we can access.
Yeah.
so agriculture. The county fairgrounds. The history of environmentalism in the county.
The Dean Wilderness, who's national
The,
forest.
yeah,
Land trust.
the land trust, the Dean Wilderness, Hoosier National Forest. Lake Lemon Conservancy.
Did it mention Fairfield?
I didn't, I'd have to go back in and do a control F.
Oh, okay.
And do it on reprovision.
Okay, so we'll bolster this up a little bit with
Yeah, and then maybe schools, I don't know,
schools, we can do schools.
university, child's,
Our schools are really good here.
I mean, so many schools, yeah. Schools are really good here.
With the environmental thing that to someone as old as me, is very, very relevant in that there was a big effort to put in an incinerator to burn all the PCBs that have been found in the community.
Yeah.
And that's really,
That issue alone might be worth mentioning the PCB.
well, right, and I would say that issue is really what brought about a lot of the environmental attention in the community, and it was not easy. It was successfully fought off, but it took years and a lot of really determined people. Otherwise, just west of town, we would have a nice incinerator with all of its fumes
Blowing,
over
yes.
Bloomington.
Oh my goodness.
Can you imagine?
Thank you to whoever stopped it, oh my goodness.
A lot of very dedicated people.
Yeah.
All right, any other thoughts, comments? We'll move on.
We'll make those changes, and you'll see those changes probably the next time we gather. We can bring them back.
Okay.
Is this community primer isn't really gonna be presented at the workshop, it's more of the climate trends primer.
Todd, have you put in any of this community information into the PowerPoint that you developed for Monday?
I have not. It's primarily focused on the climate trends primer, but I can certainly add more information to that PowerPoint if you'd like me to. It's already up to, I believe, 12 slides.
Yeah. Maybe what you mentioned about demographics or the, I guess, more vulnerable populations, at least in terms of the, since it's a vulnerability workshop. That would be relevant section from this.
What, can you just go back up, what page is that? There it is.
There.
Do you see that on page 10? There's the Monroe County disability characteristics.
Yes, page 10.
All right. All right, our last main agenda item is about the Inflation Reduction Act. I know, Peter, you had asked at our last meeting, maybe at our last full meeting, for ideas for IRA. Using IRA funds for county projects. I didn't personally come up with the list, but that's still, I guess, something for the commission to think about and be cognizant of whether you're out there. And
I was trying to go with ideas.
yeah, it is hard and coming up, like trying to dig through what's really.
IRA
It
is
is a
massive.
conflict.
Yeah.
It's massive.
Yeah,
So
it can be a big, just a web of, stuff sometimes.
the letter that you all wrote for the Herald Times is an IRA, it's an example of IRA, the ways that we can use that here locally. And so I included a link to the National Association of Counties, because they're starting to think about it too. And if there's funding that we can take advantage of, I would love to do that. If it's going to fit in our community, right? So, yeah, keep digging around. If you see something, I mean, if it can help us protect our forests, if it can help, electrify, if it can help people put solar on their homes,
Yeah.
in rural areas,
Yeah.
or, yeah.
We should look at the ARPA list and consider if there are any projects on that might be moved to this. And then we can put more money into some, but I'm particularly concerned about septics. And I don't think we have nearly enough money.
Yeah.
ARPA for septics.
Yeah, septic is a major issue, because if a household does not have the resources to maintain their septic, it goes into the groundwater.
And there are a lot of septics around that are 100 years old.
That's exactly right.
And have probably never been taken care of, and really aren't functioning anymore.
So as you're looking at stuff, it doesn't have to be like bright and shiny new stuff. It can be like stuff like infrastructure,
Yeah.
like how do we run sewer lines to places? Like, is there funding for that? Like, how do we,
Well, we aren't going to run sewer lines everywhere.
I
So we
understand.
actually need to look at
I understand.
septics and getting to people. It's a little hard to even figure out failing septics because the way the health department keeps the numbers not extremely obvious.
So I was wondering if this might be something that could be assigned to, one of our other members who, needs a project. I don't know, maybe Andrew. Because I know Neil, you said you're gonna look into it too, but this will be an ongoing task. Like there's a lot to weed through. And clearly, even the National Association of Counties has just put out some initial thoughts. So people they're trying to read through this legislation.
I started a document where obviously I come from a certain lens, so I was looking into it for forest and conservation purposes. And I started a document, but I haven't looked through it for a month or whenever that came out. But I was reading through the text of the language of the IRA, trying to figure that out. And for some reason or other, I just kind of hit a roadblock, and it was, I think, the idea, could there be some kind of like landholding or buying of land, to preserve, there's one area near Allen's Creek that I can think of, or, something like that. I don't want to spook anyone and think that we're just trying to, so it's worth considering, just for keeping our forests and for water quality as well, especially water qualities, the area, watershed area.
Yeah, the planning department has discussed land trusts. It's kind of off and on. Nothing has come of it yet. And I don't really know exactly how you go about establishing that.
They're talking about establishing their own county land trust that's county run.
We haven't, I mean,
Yeah,
it's really
that was
just
what was
been
floated.
tossed
Yeah.
around at this point. No
Yeah.
one's really taking it on seriously, I don't think.
But that was the idea, that
Mhm.
potentially, do other counties do that?
Mhm.
Or-
I think there was recently an article about it in the county, what is it, Association of Counties newsletter. Did you
Yeah.
see that, Pete?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And usually it's for affordable housing. It's structured so that, it's going to support housing.
Which is, that's why we don't have affordable housing, it's because land here is too expensive.
So is that a similar concept? And I'm gonna totally forget the name, but sort of in the, I guess it's within city limits. Yeah, who's even running it, but they're having. I'll bring it up later when I remember things. It seems like there's a similar concept that's like a housing block. And it's, guaranteed to be housing in the longer term, so there's some sort of property.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'll bring it back up later.
I mean, there is like, they appropriate like $1 billion for. Let's see, vegetation management, $500 million. Management, there's talk about like water source management plan. Right, and that, means a plan development or section 304A3 of the Healthy Forest Restoration Act of 2000. But looking into that potentially,
that would be something that the Friends of Lake Monroe might,
Friends of Lake Monroe, Sherry, Sherry, already, right? No, maybe.
Maggie Sullivan.
yeah, that's
Okay.
it.
And I think Maggie will be at Monday's event.
Okay.
Cheryl Munson will, and Cheryl Munson sits on the
Yeah.
board of Friends of Lake Monroe.
Okay.
So Friends of Lake Monroe will be there Monday.
Awesome.
But I mean, so this is from the NACO, which is National Association of Counties. This is their executive summary on the Inflation Reduction Act. It provides $5.95 billion to support the nation's farmers. Right?
Yeah.
What can we do to secure our food systems?
Well, of course, there's that one project on the ARPA list that's not qualified. But could be moved to that
Potentially, yeah.
for a mobile meat packing unit, which is a very interesting idea.
Mobile meat.
That's something that's become a major problem for small farmers who do livestock. They've cut way back on the number of inspectors.
And the pandemic shut down
A lot of meat processing.
2 meat processing plants. So there's only one.
And so a
And-
lot of small farmers just can't get their meat to the market at all.
Mhm.
So the idea is you have a mobile meat processing unit that can drive around and help.
Do small amount, like 3 cattle. Or
Wow.
something
And then
like
you
that.
could, if you're running a CSA, you could have meat to your customers. That's the idea. $3 billion in the IRA for environmental justice.
Right.
27 billion in greenhouse gas reduction. I mean, there's a lot here. It really
Still much.
seems like obviously we're not gonna, it would be a slice of that, but like,
I think one of our first steps should be just, filling out that portal that you, to the, through Bill, what was it, Bill Brown? Yeah, that's what he recommended when I talked to him about this. So it was just to get in contact with them, fill out the online portal and, all this.
I wonder if the environmental justice could help us fund the fight for the House in South, which is, I think that we'll find funding for it no matter what.
The problem is we're fighting the US Forest Service and the money is allocated, I mean, a lot of it's appropriated to the Forest Service.
Yeah,
So,
it's,
yeah. That would be funny.
Yeah, if you all think it's a good idea, I could sort of send out a email to the group asking if somebody wanted to sort of be the stakeholder or lead person and kind of collecting these ideas and doing some more research on it.
Because then you could put it on the agenda and that person could report back every single month.
Yeah, I'll do
or
that.
there might be more than one person.
That's right, that's right.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah, we can all contribute, but we can have somebody that's sort of the clearinghouse for the group.
Yeah.
Great.
What's the chat?
Yeah, okay. All right, so in old business, I'll circle back around to you, Todd, because we did have you up first, just to kind of introduce you, since you might be joining us, going forward for the next few months. If you don't mind, just saying hi and, tell us what you're doing here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so this is my first semester at the McKinney Climate Fellows. I've been a graduate student at Indiana University, Indianapolis since 2020, right at the beginning of the pandemic. But my concentration is in environmental policy, sustainability. So I've been devoting more of my research and projects into that field. So my job within the McKinney Climate Fellows is being assigned to Monroe County as like their climate resilience climate fellow, assisting with preparing for upcoming workshops, writing the reports for it, and assisting in any of the revisions that need to be done on those reports, including the community primer.
Great, appreciate it. Look forward to, I know at least, are you gonna be at the workshop on Monday? So I think we'll all be there.
We'll all be there,
Monday.
yeah.
So we'll meet you in person. But I appreciate what you've done so far. Any other old business? Any other new business?
Yeah, so the new business is, so my day job, right, working with the Indiana Forest Alliances that we're pushing a bill through the US Senate right now, over 2990, to expand the dean. And it establishes the Benjamin Harrison NRA, National Recreation Area as well. So for context, it is, pull it up here. 15,300 acres to the north, east, and southeast to protect the public national forest lands encompassing Nebo Ridge, Bat Hollow, Porter Hollow, Willhay Branch, Panther Creek, Deckard Ridge, Hickory Ridge, Fleetwood Branch, Combs Branch, Mosesbury Branch, from logging, road building, or other human activities that will diminish their wilderness character. It also establishes the National Recreation Area on an additional 29,382 acres of national forest land explicitly to protect the Monroe Reservoir water supply and promote dispersed recreation on land surrounding the expanded 28,253 acre deep wilderness. So what's great about this legislation is that in the legislation itself for the NRA, and I'm happy to, kind of show you guys a brief map here.
Yeah, I'll pull it up on the screen.
You mean to send it to you?
Peter just sent me.
Oh, okay,
I believe.
So this, I mean, first I'll say that, so the National Recreation Area. So. So first, if you look, you can see the dean right there, and that's kind of shaded in that kind of darker green. So that light green area that you're looking at, you guys see the light green area, that is the expanded dean. So it's about, just over 50,000 acres. And then the purple shaded area is just under 30,000 acres, which is the National Recreation Area. So, the difference between the two, right, is that in the NRA and in the expanded dean, you can't have new bike trails and we pull up the
horse trails or in the old deem.
So they're going to maintain the current existing ones, but no new ones will be added. Whereas in the NRA, you can add new ones, right? And that was a compromise that we had to reach with the strong-armed mountain biker lobbyists that we've been fighting. I mean, it is insane. So there's going to be a 200-foot easement on those trails that to where they're not in the wilderness, quote unquote, but they're surrounded by the wilderness. In the legislation itself with the NRA, it actually includes all of Monroe Reservoir. That all of that is on that side, all of the watershed, and it protects it in perpetuity.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So that's the bill. And now what we need though is we need everyone to flood Houchin, and I'm working on trying to get it co-sponsored by Young and obviously introducing the house by Houchin. So we need everyone to flood Houchin and Young with as many emails as possible about this. We need the whole community behind this. And so this is what our conversation goes to, is if we could get the county to support it by, passing a resolution or something of that kind, which as Peter's, mentioned earlier, I'm happy to print it up and write that language. And do that.
So draft language and then go to attorneys.
If you could just, a kind of brief draft to help me introduce it to the commissioners, and then probably do something more thorough and the county attorneys will look it over. And,
absolutely. Yeah.
I've been burned by guaranteeing that the commissioners will do anything, but this is the kind of thing that in general we tend to support.
I've been working to get city support for as well. So I've been corresponding with Sean Mia, and we've been just waiting to get a finalized list of all the groups that support it, so we can send it out to Mayor Hamilton. But we have a large number of groups support it.
The thing that most often gets in the way of this kind of effort is if it's requesting things of the county that it's not at all clear how we can accomplish it.
The only thing that we're requesting is just vocalized support.
Yeah,
that's it. Nothing else.
Yeah,
You know.
I find it hard to believe.
Yeah, there's no.
we can
Yeah, you guys,
support that.
that's it. So just vocalized support
Is there a time frame that this would need to be done in?
as soon as possible.
Well, get something to me as soon as
Okay,
possible,
I
and
will.
I'll
What's the
see
send?
what I can do it.
2990. So I'll put that in my to-do list.
Oh, it's already referred to committee. That's great.
Mhm.
I should know this, is all of Deep Wilderness currently within Monroe County?
No, not all the deems, or the deem is not just Monroe County. It also includes Jackson County.
Does it?
Mhm.
That's good.
Yeah,
Wait, the proposed expansion, right?
and the deem itself.
The current.
Well, actually,
I think the current deem is completely within Monroe County.
Yeah, it might be,
But,
I might be thinking of,
It looks like the expansion would creep.
yeah, I'm trying to think of.
it either creep into Brown or Lawrence County.
A little, I think, right, little. Let me visualize this in my head.
Get
Yeah,
back to us on it.
what was it?
Get back to us on it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like what, yeah.
Well, it's out of this commission, I was just curious if other counties, if it's gonna affect them
Sure,
here,
yeah.
and also being like hopefully
Well,
joining the cause and getting their residents. up there.
that's the plan.
Yeah.
So,
It's exciting.
yeah. So but you know, the work that like a lot of my efforts right now are laser beamed on just, you know, all the, you know, stuff that we have to do to get this passed. So it's, you know, now that we got it introduced, like the real fight is now to get it actually passed, especially before Braun leaves the Senate. So,
Yeah.
and it becomes something else.
Possible.
All right, thank you. Anybody else have new business?
Yeah, I guess just speaking to that one last thing is, once again, for those in the community, you know, if that's something that you support, please do your due diligence and contact Aaron House's office and Todd Young's office. Because that's the real way we're gonna get this passed. So if you want to see it passed, that's one easy thing to do.
Does the Indiana Forest Alliance have more information on their website?
We do.
Excellent. And what's that website?
IndianaForestAlliance.org. IndianaForestAlliance.org.
That's awesome.
Yep.
One more thing to publicize, right?
Yeah.
All right, I'll put in a quick plug. Green Drinks is again next Wednesday, October 25th.
How'd the first one go?
It was great.
I had COVID. The first one since COVID. is the
And you're
first
like,
time
you're
I've
like
had-
organizing it. You're like,
I hear it went great.
okay.
It's at the wood shop at Upland now.
Yeah.
Since they tore down their conference hall. But yeah, next month will be Dr. Michael Hamburger, professor professor of Earth and Atmospheric Sciences. So yeah, he's another Green Drinks hero and community hero. So it'll be natural disasters, pandemics, and climate change. 5:30. What was it?
And that's the 26th,
25th.
25th.
Any other new business? All right, with that, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.